Hey, this is Michael from Dark Tranquillity. You're watching Metal Memes MX.
What's going on, everybody? Today I'm here with someone that it's a hero of mine personally, the frontman of the legendary band Dark Tranquillity, as well as the Halo Effect that they came last year to Candelabrum Metal Fest here in Mexico. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm in beautiful Bilbao, Spain, on a day off from tour with the Halo Effect.
Oh, that's really cool. You told me
it's awesome.
A few moments ago that you expected like a hot day, and it's not, but sometimes it's like that.
But it's still nice. I love it here because it's a beautiful city, and I get to go to see Decapitated play tonight. They're playing in another venue close by here, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, that's nice. A really good band as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, as I said before, you guys played here in Mexico last year in Candelabrum Metal Fest. And I know you guys have been here in Mexico a few times over the years. So my first question, I wanted to ask you if there is something outside of the music world that you like or love about Mexico.
I mean, I really love the people that I've met over the years. I've met so many great friends and cool people that I love to hang out with. I remember the first time, I think it was it 2001, we came to Mexico City, and I remember dreaming about tacos like for weeks, because there was nothing like it in Sweden at the time, and it was the best I've ever had, and it was just one of those kind of like I cannot imagine anything better. But we've been fortunate enough to come many times to Mexico, and it keeps getting better. But hopefully this time we have some more time to hang out and see more, and travel around a little bit. But we'll see. But it's I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah, of course. Food is really good, but also Mexico is a very cultural place. So if you can travel for a little while, it will be amazing. I bet.
Yeah, we've seen some. We traveled a little bit, and I have some really good friends who've shown me, but overall, it's very rare that we have enough time.
Yeah,
there's a lot of miles to cover when you travel around in South and Latin America. That early mornings and long flights and that kind of stuff, unfortunately. But
yeah, of course,
we'll see. We'll make the most out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah. So when they told me I was going to interview someone from Dark Tranquillity, I was thinking like, I've been listening to the band for maybe the last 15 years. Actually, I also have a band. I'm also a frontman, not like you, but we also play a little bit of melodic death metal, and my band is really inspired by Dark Tranquillity and all this scene from Sweden. So I've been listening to songs for 15 years, like Format C, The Cortex, I don't know, Monochromatic Strains, The Mundane and the Magic, and in the more recent years, Atoma, which is an amazing song, and also Phantom Days. So I wanted to ask you about this new song you just released a few days ago. It's called The Last Imagination, and also the lyrics are always very deep, and I like them a lot. So I wanted to ask you, what's the inspiration behind this new song?
Well, I think it was inspired by a lot of kind of turmoil, and I don't know. We went through some changes with the band, throughout the years, and especially like the last 3 years. And we started talking about like what this album should be, what should we make right now in our career, in our, trajectory of the band. And it was kind of clear that this had to be very special, we have a new guitar player in Johan Reinholds, we have a new drummer and a bass player, We need to kind of show off that, but also kind of like maintaining our identity and our sound, our vision, for the band. So, but at the same time, like, I think there was a lot of stress and anxiety involved in that, making sure that this was, it was going to be something special. So I kind of treated it as, if this is the last song that we ever write, what should it be then? If this is the last lyric that I write, like, what does that mean? And I suppose, like, I maybe was more positive, and had kind of like a different outlook on life when I was younger, but I kind of don't anymore. So this became a song really about, like, hey, what does it actually mean? Like, the stuff that we put down. We are fortunate, as musicians and writers, to have music kind of stay for a while. But then, in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? Is there, yeah, how much life does a piece of literature or a piece of music really have? And what kind of mark do we leave on the world, as people? So a lot of the songs actually on the album became kind of meditations on death and how much we mean to the world in general, which is nothing. And I guess I was pretty sad when we did this album, just because of a lot of circumstances that I can go into later. But it was it made us think about our place as and what it means to be a musician, maybe, or means to be someone who writes stuff, and and to make that mark somehow. So the last imagination is kind of like, yeah, what if this is just something, a proclamation that echoes out and nobody listens to,
Yeah, of course.
And I guess that hopelessness is something that a lot of people can relate to, and I'm certainly no stranger to that kind of thinking,
Yeah, of course. I think life, it's about changes, and everything changes constantly. When we grow up,
Yeah.
everything, it's different. Like, it's almost like we think when we're growing up, like, oh, this is the same always. This is the same always, but it's not really. It's like ever changing. So It's really cool that you told me this about this song. And I wanted to ask you, you are one of the first metal singers that I was like, oh, this guy is doing guttural voices, but I can understand the words. So that for me as
okay, good, yeah,
that for me as a 15 or 16-year-old, I was like, oh, this is really cool, because when you want to sing on a band, like a metal band, these harsh voices at first are a little bit scary. It's like, am I gonna hurt myself trying to do this, or what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about this stuff with the voices. Like, how did you found your voice?
I don't know if I ever did, but my inspirations were Mille Petrosa from Creator, Dave Vincent from Morbid Angel, Martin Valka from Sabbath. Those were, like, for me, those were the big ones, and all those three singers, for me, I could hear every single word, and that gave it impact. Like, then when I listen to, like the Morbid Angel songs, like, even though they're about demonic possessions, whatever it is, it sounds cool and I can hear it, And with Martin Valka, like, he had fantastic lyrics, and still does, of course, but like really interesting lyrics that inspired me a lot. And so I wanted to be able to hear it, and I could very clearly. And it's the same with Creator. Like, this kind of like hate-filled, super angry lyrics were, intelligible. I could tell what they were about, and that became something that me and Niklas talked about early on when we decided to form the band. That, hey, we have to be able to convey something. Otherwise, what's the point? otherwise you're just making noise, or you're making sounds, and that didn't seem that interesting to us. And also we loved writing lyrics and writing about something that mattered to us, and we wanted our band to be kind of more than the average death metal band was our thinking. And if we were going to write lyrics that aren't about horror movies or nasty ways to die, whatever, then of course it makes sense to actually be able to hear it as well. So that's always been a thing, and I think for me, I always love that, and I think it amplifies the feeling and the vibe and sometimes the aggression or the anxiety or the whatever, if you can actually tell. I'm fine. I love a lot of singers that I can't hear a word of what they're saying, but my favorites are the ones where it's kind of comes through. So I don't know if I ever worked on it that much, but I always tried really hard to make sure that everything was there. And I remember recording some of the earlier albums, with an engineer in the studio, but Niklas or Martin would always be there going like, hey, I couldn't hear that word, you're just like, make that clearer, or that pronunciation wasn't perfect. It's like, okay, let's make sure it's there.
Of course. Yeah, I agree with that. And as I told you before, that simple factor for me personally was like, oh, I want to do this because it inspired me a lot as a metal singer to be able to sing these harsh voices, but to people to understand what I was trying to say, So that's really cool.
Yeah. It's kind of wasted otherwise. I think it's like, why am I bothering writing lyrics? It's kind of like, if you're not proud of the lyric, maybe you don't pronounce it that well.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So, well, my next question would be, well, Dark Tranquillity, it's got a very good legacy, like a lot of years as a band, more than 30 years as a band.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you if you ever imagined that more than 30 years later, you were going to still be singing on this genre that we all love on this channel, at least.
No, of course I couldn't, and it is strange to think that it's been that long, because when we started, we were kind of laughing at bands that were around for like, do you think this genre is going to be even 10 years? I remember, when I started listening to death metal, there weren't any bands that had released a second album. One of the first bands that I knew was kind of like, Death has released 2 albums. Holy shit, and I didn't know what the genre was, but we didn't care because we were so headstrong and kind of like, we want to do this so much that it doesn't matter. Like, just let's move forward. Let's create something and then do better things and do cooler things and be better at our instruments and our writing skills and that kind of stuff. So it's always been like that. And we talked about it a lot lately, actually, just how important that kind of vision is, like how important it is to have that kind of drive and feel that maybe you're not changing anyone's mind or changing anyone's lives, but you're providing something that is incredibly important to us, as musicians, but also kind of I don't know, like ease the or distract from the horrors of the world or whatever it might be. I really find comfort in that, knowing that what we do and how is something that makes people feel a certain way, like you're affecting something, and it's a beautiful thing to see. And I think part of our drive, I think, as a band, is to kind of create those feelings, of course, in people, but also get it back. You get to meet people who have ideas and have feelings about what we do, and they can convey that back to us. And we get to talk to tons of people every night, when we're out on tour, and you hear different stories, and you hear different perspectives on what we do, and that's kind of like, it's kind of like opening a channel. You're saying like, hey, this is how we feel. How about you? and you get to listen to so many different aspects of people's lives, and I love that, and I treasure those moments when you get to talk to someone who not only feels very strongly about what we do, but also has strong feelings about life in general that kind of reflects back on us, and you can tell like how very similar we are, even though we get to travel around the world, a few laps. So I think that's part of why I love doing this and why we keep doing this for so long, is that you kind of you're part of. We can be part of someone's life, but also everybody who listens to us is very much a part of ours.
Yeah, of course. That's a really cool answer, actually. I like that very much. So I have just a couple more questions. And as I said before, you guys have been here in Mexico a few times already. Actually, I got to took a picture with you in Candelabrum last year, which was like almost like a surreal moment for me on the press tent. And so I wanted to ask you, what can the Mexican fans expect from Dark Tranquillity on this tour that you're about to make?
Well, the fun thing is, at least for me and Martin and Jan, like we're gonna change things up a little bit. We're playing new stuff, of course, but we're also playing more deeper cuts. We're finalizing the set list right now, and we have decided to really open up to more possibilities when it comes to songs. Because it's very easy to get caught up in just doing the same old thing that you've always done, or you playing the songs that that most people want to hear. But that's not that much fun, for us as a band. Like it's actually fun to kind of go back and rediscover material and rediscover songs that you haven't played for in a long, long time. So I'm really looking forward to starting off this tour for this album, because we literally finished the album a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm on tour with the Halo Effect, but I'll be home in 4 or 5 days, I think. And then it's straight to rehearsal, and then we go straight to Turkey to do 2 shows, and then it's back for 2 days, and then we're coming to Mexico. So it's intense, but I'm still super excited, just because we want this to be kind of like a beginning of something new, rather than just a continuation. And hopefully that will show on stage, and that's our plan and our goal for this.
Yes, of course. Very busy life you have there. That's really cool.
You don't know the half of it.
Yeah,
no, it's no rest.
Yeah. So, well, this is the last question for me. This one I always ask, and with such a legendary status from Dark Tranquillity, I guess you're going to have a really crazy answer. So what's the most crazy or surreal thing you have experienced on this metal road?
Wow. Okay. We've been touring since 1995, so there's been a few of these moments. Whenever, of course, we talk about this a lot, when we're on tour with, bands and stuff like that. You change stories and you laugh about the surreal nature of things and how crazy it can get sometimes. And I kind of keep coming back to, I think, one of the most nervous and the most kind of nerve-wrecked I've ever been was we were on the summer tour right before Haven came out, and we had only kind of released like one single or stuff like that. I can't recall. And we were in Monza, Italy, like the racetrack, this huge Gods of Metal festival, which is enormous. And we were on the road with Sentenced, one of my favorite bands and some of the coolest people in the world. And we had been up all night drinking, as we do, when you meet Finnish people. And we woke up, and it's like, we didn't realize what kind of festival it was, but it was beyond use, like 35,000 people or something like that. And we were going to play new songs that we'd never played before, like The Wonders at Your Feet and songs like that we just hadn't tried. And my voice was screwed up because we had played many shows before, and I could hardly speak. So I was so nervous. It was one of those days where we walked on stage, and for some reason, there is Rob Halford standing on stage going like, "Hey, can't wait to see you guys." And he was just there promoting his first solo album with Halford, like this, which is a phenomenal album, but we didn't know that at the time. And so I had no idea he was there, and I don't know him, but here he stands watching the show where I'm the most nervous I've ever been in my life. And of course, it turned into one of the greatest experiences ever. And you just like, you floated on air after that show because of the Italian crowd and the whole thing. But just always kind of in your peripheral vision, I saw like the greatest singer of all time is just standing right there. And yeah, so stuff like that. And this was in 2002, I don't know. But it's something that I will never forget. Like just how whenever I feel nervous nowadays, I go like, at least it wasn't that time in Monza, and then it gets easier.
Oh, that's really actually that's a really crazy story, and that's really cool because sometimes we need that, that energy or that little push from someone we admire or something like this. So that's a really cool story.
Yeah.
So well, Michael.
Yeah, but that was wild.
Oh yeah, that was wild. Yeah. So well, thank you so very much for your time, man.
Thank you.
I hope there's a lot of people that gave their energy to you guys on stage on this tour on Mexico. So it was a pleasure and an honor to talk to you today. Thank you so very much.
Hey, good to see you again, man. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks, right?
Of course. I think I'll be there in Guadalajara. So yeah.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Yeah. I look forward to it. I can't wait. Like, this is going to be fun.
Perfect.
Heading out of cold Europe, I look forward to this very much.
Oh yeah, here it's really hot, so it's gonna be different.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Good.
Amazing. Awesome. Michael, thank you so very much. Everybody,
thank you.
Dark Tranquillity, go watch him live on April.
Yeah.
Oh
yes.